Welcome back. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, here for your daily dose of the roars as we talk about these oh so stupid things going on in the world and technology. Do you remember I do these videos in order to fund a Silicon Dojo, free to the end user hands-on technology education in Durham, North Carolina. We have classes coming up on extending AI capabilities with REST APIs. We have a class coming up on computer vision, AI computer vision with something called Moondream. If you're interested, take a look at our schedule at silicondojo.com. If you want to help support the classes, there is a donor box link down below. And with that, let's talk about Amazon for a moment. Let's talk about Amazon for a moment and the whole push in the world of AI and the whole question of when is this whole house of cards going to fall the hell apart? So one of the big things that I argue for a lot of the stuff going on in the AI world right now is that the business models just do not make a whole hell of a lot of sense. When you look at the technologies, right? One of the big things that I talk about when I do my classes for silicondojo.com is the whole idea is that if you believe your moat as a technology professional or as a founder, as an entrepreneur, is simply swiping a credit card and being able to use a prompt, I question how deep that moat is. I would argue that moat is about as deep as my Chihuahua's piss puddle, right? Basically, somebody can either step over it or they can step in it, and it's not really going to matter. It's not going to stop them, right? We talk about moats. Moats in the business world are basically some kind of barrier to entry to say your competition will not be able to surmount that barrier, and that's why you have some kind of security protection, right? You think about this with laws and regulations, right? You have to have some kind of certificate. Like if you want to be a doctor, you have to go to medical school, right? That is a moat. If you want to be a lawyer, you have to go to law school. That is a moat, right? That's the kind of thing you're thinking about, like when you're talking about moats. One of the big issues that I see right now in the AI race with some of the jackasses out there trying to become AI professionals is basically all they're doing is they're swiping a credit card, whether it's for ChatGPT or whether it's for Gemini or whether it's for Anthropic or whatever else. They're learning to type some prompts in, and then they think that is what's going to make them a successful, valuable employee. And as I argue, that's about as deep as a Chihuahua's piss puddle. Be careful with that, right? So one of the things I argue people should be thinking about is how to build bespoke systems, right? When you look at ChatGPT or you look at Anthropic, right? That's an overall that's a platform that you're using. There is an LLM there, but there's also a lot of other stuff on top of that LLM to make it something that you can use. The cool part is the LLM is a component. It's a component like anything else. It's a component like a database system or a data store or web app framework or whatever else, right? And so what you can do is you can take LLMs, you can take an LLM, and you can actually build your own AI product around that LLM to very specifically solve the problems for either yourself or your organization. So imagine this, you go to an organization, you have two people in the organization. One person swipes their credit card and starts typing in prompts, and that's how they try to become successful at that organization. And you have another person that sits there and they talk to the CEO and all the C-levels they can find, and they talk to the secretaries and all the secretaries they can find, and they talk to the warehouse people and they can talk to their peers and whatever else. And then they sit down and they spend a month coding an LLM-powered AI application to actually solve the bespoke problems of that organization, right? They create the database system, they create the data store system, all of that different type of thing, right? And now imagine this going into the future. You're like 6 months from now, a year from now, and it's time for the layoffs. Eli, the computer guy's favorite time of the year, layoff time. And so you have two people that are up for the layoff. One person swiped a credit card and learned how to use prompts. The other person built the AI platform that the entire organization uses, and nobody really understands how it works. Which one of these people has a moat? And which one of these people is gonna get fucking laid off in a heartbeat, right? this is one of the things to be thinking about, again, with all this kind of AI stuff. And so that's what becomes interesting here with Amazon, Amazon is looking to push its engineers to actually use in-house AI systems, right? So I've heard about Claude Code. I've heard very little snark about Claude Code. Everybody seems to like Claude Code. Anyways, there's a lot of these different coding platforms out there. What Amazon is starting to say is, hey, it is better to build our own in-house bespoke coding solutions versus going out and using these other people's platforms, right? For things like security reasons, every time you use an API call, every time you connect with somebody else's service, your data is going to their service. You don't know how it's going to be used. Whether it's for that, whether it's for actually building systems to be bespoke, systems that truly integrate into Amazon's overall systems and architecture, that abide by their rules and all that kind of thing, that where they can create logs, the actual logs that they actually care about. Right? I think that's the interesting thing here. So anyways, yes, Amazon pushes engineers towards in-house Kiro AI coding tool over third-party options. Amazon is steering its engineers towards using its Kiro AI coding tool and away from new third-party options, according to an internal memo referenced in a Reuters report. The company said it will continue supporting tools already in use, but does not plan to approve additional external AI development software. And I think that might be one of the interesting things too, when we look at the business of AI in the modern world, right? So many of these companies, right? They have not had their own internal AI products up until this point in time, right? ChatGPT, I guess, only came out on the market about 3 years ago, right? So a lot of these companies have been playing catch up. They've been trying to figure out whether they care about AI, how to use AI, how AI fits in the workflow, all of that kind of stuff. And so when you're in that particular part of the cycle, a lot of times companies will simply swipe credit cards so that their employees can start using a product to figure out how the hell to use it. Right? Just go out there, use it, figure out, do we care? If we do care, how do we integrate this into our systems? So on and so forth. What becomes interesting, thinking about this going forward though, is as more and more companies know for a fact that AI is valuable for their companies, as they start understanding how to integrate artificial intelligence into their workflows and the rest of it, one of the big questions comes up is do they still want all of this to be outsourced? Do they still want to be using ChatGPT or Anthropic or Mistral or whatever else? Or do they want to start trying to bring all of that kind of thing in-house so that they have more control over it, more visibility over it, the whole 9 yards? I think this is going to be an interesting thing. The whole question of, are more and more companies going to start creating local AI infrastructure in order to support their needs? Let's see. Amazon is steering its engineers towards using its Kiro AI coding tool and away from third-party options. That's what I just talked about. And does not plan to approve additional external AI development software. The memo posted on Amazon's internal news site told employees they play a central role in shaping in-house tools as the company refines Kiro. The service, launched in July, supports code generation using natural language prompts and builds on components developed with Anthropic, though not specifically its Claude Code product. The guidance would limit Amazon employees from adopting tools such as OpenAI's Codex, Anthropic's Claude Code, and startup Cursor's software. Amazon has previously assessed the risks associated with outside tools. Earlier this year, the company designated OpenAI's Codex as, quote, do not use, and briefly applied a similar label to Claude Code before reversing that decision. So basically, it looks like Amazon is going out there. They know the value of AI coding tools. And so basically, they want to build their own internal bespoke solution, which I would argue makes a hell of a lot of sense, right? They obviously have enough technical resources and technical staff to build that type of solution. There are enough models out there and hardware enough, all that kind of thing that's out there to actually be able to support them, be able to deploy that type of solution. It decreases a lot of security concerns and allows them to build the system to actually deal with their specific problems. My argument with this is basically, as I try to teach at silicondojo.com, I think this is the way to go, right? I would argue in AI, we're back in the equivalent of the 1990s, where you had office employees who basically became IT people because they were willing to install modems. Right? Remember, if people got these computers, they would get the computers at the office, and then somebody would need a fax modem. And then they would buy this box that had this PCI card fax modem. And then everybody's like, who's going to install it? And so you'd have one person be like, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to install a PCI card. And then you install the PCI card. And you're like, wow, that's easy. And everyone's like, oh my God. You get pats on the backs. You get a whole round of beer bought for him. They're like, yeah, this guy installed a PCI card. And it's like, huh. I bet, if a PCI card is that easy to install, I bet it'd be really easy to fix a printer. And they had fixed a printer. And then they just do that. And all of a sudden, they were running the IT department for their company. And then all of a sudden they realized, hey, maybe I could be a consultant doing this. And they became IT consultants. I actually had a buddy of mine. That is literally how he became a very successful IT consultant. It all started with a fax modem card. It just went from there. And the point that I try to make out here, again, like you have the fax modem cards, you have building websites, right? Not that long ago, building websites were a big deal, a lot of that type of thing. I would argue right now with this whole AI revolution, the ability to build bespoke AI solutions for companies, to be able to keep data in-house, to be able to provide them the actual answers and all of the kind of stuff that they care about. I think that is where we currently are. And I would argue, I think there's going to be a lot of money there. And there's a lot of companies, right, trying to figure out, what is their differentiator? And again, imagine if you're a startup company. Imagine if you're a startup company right now, and you're going out there and you're trying to explain to investors why they should invest in your company. And they go, okay, so what is your AI roadmap? And they're like, we swipe our credit card every month and we use Claude Code, right? And then you have another startup company. They're like, what is your AI roadmap? It's like, well, we've set aside two of our engineers. We have created, basically we are building a bespoke solution to specifically solve our particular set of problems. We own essentially all the intellectual property for this. Nobody else can gain access to this. So even our other competitors, they're not going to be able to use the products that we're using because we're literally building our own products. You take a look at that. Which is a better AI roadmap there? What gives you a moat? What gives you the ability to actually differentiate yourself from the competition? And I would argue it's building your own systems are going to be the way to go. And it's easy. And like a lot of this stuff. Remember when building websites was hard? I still remember that. I did not get a job. There was one time, right, I studied for my MCSE back when I was trying to get my first corporate job. And there was this company. Really good company, really good benefits, the whole 9 yards. And they're like, yeah, we just don't need Microsoft people. We don't need systems people. They're like, but we do need coders. And I looked at it, I was like, I didn't know coding, right? This was 2000, right? So I had my electrical experience from the Army, and I had my Microsoft experience from an MCSE boot camp. I just did not have any coding at all, no coding at all. And I shit you not, this guy looked me straight in the eye and said, well, just tell me you know HTML. I want you to think about this. Do you know there was a time period you could get a technical job with a good company for knowing HTML? Oh, I looked at him. I was like, I had no idea. At that time, I didn't even know what HTML was. I talked with my buddy later, my buddy, like my mentor, and I was like, yeah, I could have gotten this job if only I'd known HTML. And he looked at me and was like, shit, you don't know HTML? I was like, I don't know HTML. The fuck is that? Anyways, I would argue that's kind of where we are with this whole AI revolution. If you understand the idea that you can have an LLM and you have record stores and you have data stores and you have your web app framework and you have this other stuff going on, and you can actually build your own solutions. I think there's a lot of money to be made. And I'm telling you, I do not know why it is. Blows my fucking mind. But I can tell you, this is not a big place where a lot of technology professionals are trying to target for whatever reason. So anyways, there you go. Something to think about. What do you think about Amazon pushing their engineers to use an in-house AI coding solution? What do you think about them basically blackballing third-party solutions going forward? Do you think that is the future? Do you think that's something you could replicate at your organization? Put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing, call me a dumbass. Just be a real Lutnick and put a strong American comment down there in the comment section. Do remember I do these videos in order to fund Silicon Dojo, authorityless, gatekeeperless, free to use our hands-on technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is you want to do in Durham, North Carolina. We have a class coming up on extending AI capabilities using REST APIs in a couple of days. We have another class coming up on AI computer vision using something called Moondream on December 17th, I do believe. If you're interested, take a look at silicondojo.com to see what our schedule is. Do remember, free to end user is not actually free. That's why there's a donor box link down below. If you'd like to throw some money in to help support the project, that would be ever so lovely. And with that, see y'all later.